tacky move. Just, even though that's not what I said or what I intended to convey.
She better not do that. She better not.
My DoorDasher tossed my coffee down because he got mad that I didn't tip on DoorDash. If you say no tip before you get your food, the chances of someone pissing in your drink goes up at least 8%. And me personally,
Today, I want to talk about the new tipping culture because I am telling you, everywhere you go, at least what it feels like is everywhere you go, you're asked to tip. Coffee shop, picking up a bottle of water, self-checkout at the grocery store. Would you like to add a tip? I'm really getting tired of seeing it, you know what I mean? Tipping used to be optional, and it doesn't feel so optional anymore.
Hello. So at this restaurant, you will have to tip before your service. This way it will determine what kind of service you will receive. So what would you like?
That one they were sitting there.
All right, so it looks like you chose the 5%, which is the lowest quality of service. Yeah, I'm not really big on tipping. Totally understandable. So I'm actually gonna be back in 20 minutes to take your food order. I'm just about to go hang out. Oh, we're actually ready now. Nice. So I'll be back in 25.
That is legit how it feels. That's how it feels. They want you to tip before any service has even been given to you. And you do have to wonder, I think, so obviously she just kind of made a funny video, but it kind of does make sense. What you decide to tip will determine your hospitality experience. If you decide to give us a little tip, we're probably not going to be that attentive. We might only come to the table once during your meal. But if you tip us more, we'll take better care of you. It's almost like that's what they're going for in some circumstances. It's wild.
Tipping culture is getting out of hand. Ever since Trump did the no more tax on tips, everywhere in my face, people are shaking a cup talking about tips. How did no one notice? But the calculator app has a tip option in there. You press tip and it gives you a pre-made percent. This is getting ridiculous. For the first time in my life, I went through a drive-through and she said, one more question. Would you like to leave a tip? And started naming off the percentages. I'm like, are we serious? I said no. And she said, really? And I was like, what the fuck you mean, really? About 3 minutes later, she brings out my smoothie, and now I don't even want to drink it. I haven't touched it because now I have to think about someone else's opinion of me before I eat my food. If you say no tip before you get your food, the chances of someone pissing in your drink goes up at least 8%. And me personally, I'm not okay with that. My friend went through a self-serving car wash, and it said tip. Who are we tipping? The water company? This is crazy. So yeah, now we're at 7-Eleven.
I didn't even think about that, you guys. I didn't even think about that. Yeah, if they find out that you decide not to tip before giving you your food, what if they did something to your food? I didn't even think about that. I didn't even think about that. That's horrifying. And I didn't know that there was a tip calculator on your calculator. How long has that been there? I didn't know that such a thing exists. That is wild.
Because I don't feel safe with this drink because she got pissed. To be fair, she had green hair and face tats, so I probably wasn't going to trust the drink anyway.
He said it. I didn't say it.
Tipping culture is bad in America when I have to go to custom tip and manually put 0. They are so petty that they will do anything in their power to make you start at 18%.
I have noticed that too. They have all of these options for tips, and then you have to go to other and hit $0 to leave no tip. It's like they want you to think that there is no option other than to tip because there's all of these percentages to tip, and then you have to go to other to hit 0. That is forced tipping, in my opinion. It's like they're trying to force you to tip. It's like they're trying to make you think you have no other choice but to tip if you don't know to go to other and put $0 in. That's messed up.
And if you don't want to do that bullshit, you have to go to custom tip and manually type it. To whoever designed that thinking it would bring in more money, I can tell you right now that it's completely backfiring. I think most people would tip if it just started at 10 or 15%. But if you're starting your tip at 18% and you're making the page unskippable, I will gladly take the time to go to custom tip and put a fat fucking 0.
Is anyone else really sick of tipping culture? I used to be a huge tipper. I would happily give 20% in a restaurant or even if I'm getting something to go.
I still do. I am a chronically over tipper. Primarily if I have good service, I will over tip because the only jobs that I've ever had in the hospitality industry have been with hotels And then I have worked at like Subway kind of fast food. I really have, I've done fast food, but I haven't done like sit down casual. I've never been a waitress. I actually stepped in to assist someone's business to be a waitress for a week. 1 week. That shit's hard. I could not be a waitress full time. The amount of brain power and memory it takes, I like to think I have a pretty good memory. I think I would be a lousy waitress. You don't want me to be your waitress. So if I go somewhere where somebody is waiting on me, whether it's for drinks or food, I will chronically overtip. It's just in my nature. But I do not tip places where I order at the counter and pick up my own food. I don't. I don't tip at buffets. I don't. I just don't do it. There's no service performed. I do think that the tipping culture is absolutely out of control right now.
But I feel like we've switched into a generation where people just expect at minimum a 20% for not doing anything. And if someone has a bad attitude during service, or maybe I find is rude, the fact that they just flip an iPad around and expect a 20 to 30% tip has become a little bit outrageous.
Not gonna get it.
At the same time, getting food to go, I no longer tip when I get takeaway. To me, there's just no service involved.
I never have.
Filling up some food, I understand it takes effort, but in my opinion, that's what you're paid for. I don't think getting something to go deserves a 20 to 30% tip. Same with coffee. I occasionally get Starbucks and my order is just a black coffee. So it takes 10 seconds to fill that pike roast up, and you're asking me for at least $1 tip on a $3 coffee. That's a 33% tip. I have worked in service before, so I understand the tipping culture, and I understand it does make a difference to people in the service industry, but I still think people need to work to deserve a tip.
My rule is if I stand up to order my food and I have to get it, there's probably not a very big tip in it for you. If you bring me my food, you take my order, absolutely going to give you a tip. If I'm driving through, there's no tip. You're doing your job. I came here to order a thing from you. You came here to sell a thing to me. That's great. That's the whole transaction. There is no extra transaction required. If somebody's doing service for you, you get a haircut, come clean out, that's all fine. Tip all those people.
I will tip,
your service providers where that's the norm. But the idea that I go buy a product and you hand me the product from the shelf across the counter and then I'm supposed to give you a tip, that's insane to me. I have the same opinion everybody else has on tip culture. It's out of control.
Did I miss something? Because I'm completely confused. So I just go to Dairy Queen to get an ice cream and a Blizzard for Doodlebug. So my total was $7.68. So I gave the lady $8 in cash. So she takes my $8 and she says, a minute later, she comes back to the window. Do you really want your 32 cents? And I looked a little confused. I said, yes. So she kind of got an attitude. Okay. So she closes the window. So I'm sitting here like, why would I not want my change? I'm just a little confused. So she comes back and she's going to give me the 32 cents. And I'm like, do people not normally want their change? Because I'm confused by what the hell just happened. And she says, well, you know, people normally tip. The fuck? What is going on with this tipping culture? I fully understand tipping when I am getting a service done outside of their normal job. Like if I'm ordering groceries, if I am going to a restaurant and they are serving me my food, if I'm at, you know, wherever that they do not make a full salary. What the hell am I tipping you for? You're already getting paid to work at Dairy Queen. So what am I tipping you more for? I am confused as hell. So now she has an attitude because I want my 32 cents in change. Absolutely, I want my 32 cents. The fuck is wrong? Look, y'all have gone too far with this tipping culture, period.
You want a fucking tip? Are you serious? You too?
I just got my hair done like 30 minutes ago, and when I was checking out to pay, I went to the receptionist, because normally in the past when I've been to salons, like that's, you get your whatever is done by a stylist, and then you go deal with the payment and the tip with the receptionist, which is kind of nice because then you don't have to like deal with the awkwardness of figuring out how much you're going to tip someone with that person directly. But that's not how things worked at the salon. So I go to the receptionist. She's like, no, you're going to be sorting that out with your stylist. So I was like, okay, but already I get a little nervous because that's how I am. I get all worked up in social settings. So I'm talking to my stylist, and he's like, you get a discount if you pay in the full thing in cash. And I was like, oh, I definitely don't have enough cash. And he's like, I'll still give you the discount if you pay half with cash. And I have like $3 in my wallet. So I was like, no, I won't have it all. But I could tell at that point that he really wanted me to pay with cash. So then I asked him, I was like, okay, is there an ATM around the corner? And he's like, yeah, there actually is. There's a CVS and there's an ATM inside. And I was like, great. And then he like takes out his phone and he's like, so it's $275 and then with a 20% tip, and he's like trying to do the math on his phone. And I just was like, and I got nervous. So I was like, I'm just going to take out $400. What I meant by that is like, I'll take out $400 and we can figure out like what 20% is later. But he's like, oh no, honey, $400 is way too much. And so now I'm realizing, oh, he thought I was saying I'm going to pay him $400.
Oh my God.
And I'm like, fuck, in my head. I obviously don't say that out loud. I'm like, no, don't worry about it. I'll be right back. So I go to CVS and I'm contemplating like what to do. But honestly, I've already said it out loud. So I take out $400 and I'm like trying to figure out what a 20% tip is from $275. Then I get back to the salon.
Okay. Here's another problem. 20% of $275 is not hard math. I can do it right now in my head. That would be $27.50 times 2, which would be $55. Did I just impress anybody with my math skills? 20% of $275 would be $55. It'd be a $55 tip. That is something else that I find a little concerning. I tend to use cash a lot of the times because I do not want cash to die. I will use cash every single chance I get. And if I go somewhere and I give someone cash, watching them struggle to find the change if they don't have a computer that automatically tells them what my change is going to be, it's concerning. It's very concerning. Has anybody else had any experiences like that where you give someone cash and then the fact that they can't figure out what the change is without having a computer tell them in that instance? They can't do the mental math for that. Does anybody else find that concerning? Is that just me? But anyway, that's just kind of like a little sidebar there.
From $275. Then I get back to the salon and he's like, with the discount's only $250, but I've already said out loud, he thinks I've proposed I'm going to pay him $400. It's like a tacky move, even though that's not what I said or what I intended to.
It's not your fault he misunderstood. You're not about to give him a $150 tip because that's, I think, what she's starting to go towards. She said she was going to give him $400 and her bill is only $250, which would make it a $150 tip with the cash discount. She better not do that. She better not.
It's a tacky move to be like, I'll pay you $400 and then not pay $400.
No.
So Merry Christmas to my hairstylist. And you can thank my social anxiety for that one.
Okay, something else that we need to do, and I'm talking to myself too, because I need to do this. We all need to do this. We all need to stop being so nice when it comes to this kind of thing. Like, we need to not be worried about backtracking and not letting someone else's assumption be what we feel we're forced to do based on kindness. She literally just said she gave her hairdresser a $150 tip on top of a $250 hair session. That's too much. 20% would have been $55 off of $275. And $55 would be a 25% tip on a $250 cash discount hair session. This is why people are going broke. Because they're just giving their money away. Tipping culture has gotten out of hand for real.
Wherever you go now, they ask if you want a tip. Why did I go and get a treatment, an IV treatment, and they tell myself, oh, feel free to tip. There's a tip option there. Why would I give you a tip? I just gave you $300. And if y'all don't know about intravenous therapy for vitamins, look into it. It'll definitely make you feel better, especially if you feel like you're getting sick. But that's beside the... Why do they have an option to tip on everything? If you're at the grocery stores, for you to donate $1 to St. Jude or some hospital or some, which I don't donate to those places because I don't really think it's really going to them. So I don't donate to those places. I like to donate directly to people.
It's not. I actually have like notes for a deep dive into that, just FYI. So let me know if you want to see that kind of content down in the comments below. Yeah, about like donating to charities. Most of that money does not actually go to the charities. It's kind of a gross thing, if we're being honest here. So yeah, I honestly don't like donate or round up either. Haven't in a really long time, ever since I started deep diving into that kind of deceitfulness.
But this tipping culture is just out of control. You go pick up some food, you go to the gas, you can go anywhere, and they always have an option for you to tip. And then it's always a high amount. And I'm like, well, why would I tip you? I just came in here to pick up some food. You didn't do anything extra. This tipping culture has gotten out of control, for real. Like, you didn't do nothing extra for me to give you some money, give you $3, $4, $5. Even when I'm going to go get a coffee from Dutch Bros, I don't want to give you any. I wanted to pay $2 for my coffee and get out of there.
Tipping culture is getting out of hand. Like, I don't know who's in charge. I don't know who's making the rules, but something has to be done. DoorDash. I don't know who's running DoorDash, but whoever it is, to the front. Bro, I'm like mad, bro, because I'm broke and I'm hungry. So tell me why the I ordered on DoorDash. My total came out to be like $23 to $22 and some cents.
If you're broke, don't be ordering DoorDash. That is all.
DoorDash charged me $36, so I'm confused. Like, wait, I know what I ordered. So I reach up, it doesn't matter. But I reached onto DoorDash customer service because I'm like, why the f*** you don't charge me for this? And then he want to say, well, it's automatic tipping. And I'm confused because I'm like, because I usually tip, but I'm broke. It's in the mud like, hey, I'm hungry regardless. So I'm like, oh, I don't want to tip. I didn't tip, so I don't know why it was automatic, but... And then he was like, okay, so how much do you want to adjust the tipping to? I can help you do that. I'm like, $0. Like I did before. $0 now. And then he was like, well, I hope you understand by tipping $0, the DoorDash has the right to cancel your order, and you can go pick it up yourself.
I'm sorry, but if you're ordering food delivery of any kind, you should be tipping. You should be tipping because DoorDash drivers, Uber Eats drivers, Walmart grocery delivery drivers, also known as Spark drivers, Instacart drivers, all of them get paid horribly. The tips really do matter. And I'm sorry, but if you are too, quote, broke at the end of the month to tip, but you're still ordering DoorDash, you're still ordering $23 worth of DoorDash at the end of the month when you have $0 money for tipping, rather than going on TikTok and bitching about it, maybe you should have bought groceries with the $23 and then you probably wouldn't have run out of food. Just saying, $23 probably would have went a lot further going to the grocery store than ordering on DoorDash and insulting a driver by trying to give them no tip. And now you're on TikTok bitching about it.
Americans are starting to tip less. A recent Wall Street Journal survey found that Americans were starting to push back on tip prompts for basic transactions and service charges, and overall were just very frustrated with tipping culture, which has always been around in America, at least in the recent history, but has really exploded in the past couple of years, kind of with the rise of those tip screens, etc. And tipping has been around in American culture for quite a while, but in the past couple of years, it has definitely exploded with the proliferation of the tipping screens, just kind of coming out of COVID. And the survey revealed that in response, Americans are starting to have higher standards, to warrant tipping, using cash to avoid the tip screens, or simply tipping less or not at all. And this isn't just about saving money, though I think that is a factor during times of economic uncertainty. I think there is also kind of this psychology piece at play where I think a lot of consumers believe that the traditional boundaries of what deserves a tip has been overextended to transactions that previously didn't include tipping. And a really good example of this is those self-service kiosks where you kind of go and scan the items and then ask for a tip. And understandably, that feels pretty frustrating and annoying that you have to deal with that. And, you know, tipping has normally been guided by widely understood, if not unwritten, rules. And as these norms have become violated on the tipping end of things, you know, tipping has kind of been inserted in places where it wasn't inserted before, people are understandably getting frustrated by that, one. And two, they're also just getting exhausted by having to navigate all these different social expectations that are just rapidly changing around tipping. So that's leading to people to tip less or not at all. And I was saying before, economic pressure definitely plays a role here, but I think it's a little bit more nuanced than just cutting costs. So yes, I think there might be some consumers that are foregoing the tip just to save a couple bucks here and there, but I think we're also seeing a fundamental shift in consumption patterns. So people are eating out less, cooking home at more, etc. It's also really important to point out that tipping has partly been about social signaling and power relationships. And as the power balance shifts between service providers and consumers through technology and changing economic conditions, tipping behaviors will adjust accordingly.
They passed a bill for no tax on tips. They passed a bill for no tax on tips. Yeah, on cash tips. Mind you, this is not a law yet. This is just a bill being passed. On cash tips, baby, we already weren't claiming the cash tips. That wasn't an issue. We already said, like, we all agreed.
That's why everybody prefers the cash tip. Right there. Right there.
That goes in our pocket, never be seen again. In 10 years of serving, allegedly, I never claimed my cash tips. And I would only claim card tips because the system made me. Whatever the person entered for their card tips, it would automatically show up on my end of day report. And then every time I'd be like, and how many tips do you want to claim for cash? I'd be like, 0. Sometimes it'd say, you can't do that because you didn't make enough money, which is fucked because sometimes it was 0. And I would basically have to say that I made cash tips because I didn't get tipped enough in cards, even if I didn't make anything in cash tips. But regardless, most places, people tip on cards. When you said no tax on tips, you should have clarified no tax on cash tips. Because then we would have been like, oh, man, don't matter anyway. Don't matter. We were all in agreement that we were already doing that.
My DoorDasher tossed my coffee down because he got mad that I didn't tip on DoorDash. So we need to have an honest conversation about tip.
He just straight up threw that coffee because he was pissed that he didn't get a tip. That DoorDash driver was mad. Wow.
An honest conversation about tipping real fast. I'm gonna take a seat about this because this is absurd. This is psychotic to me. If you can't tip, you can still order food. If you can't tip, you can still do things. If you can't tip, you can still go out to eat. Tipping is the only thing where people are cowards about it. With everything else, we've had walkouts and boycotts and stuff like that, and strikes about it, about minimum wage, about how we should work harder. If you all stop serving at the same exact time, you can actually get some work done. Did you know that? People are saying, well, if you don't want to tip, you're gonna have to start paying $20 for a burger. I already paid $20 for a burger, dude. I already paid $20 for a burger. Well, go get the food yourself. I will. I'll walk up and grab it myself. Well, DoorDashers, you should tip DoorDashers because they drive. I don't have a car. What's the point of using DoorDash? They already pay the DoorDashers. Me leaving a tip is out of the courtesy of my heart.
They pay them horribly, though.
I'm not a good Samaritan. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm not going to be like, I'm a good person all the time. No, I'm not always a good person all the time. I'm human. I have days where I can't pay extra. And me giving extra money doesn't make me less of a good person in any capacity. It makes me broke. It makes inflation insane. It makes life difficult. That's what it is. Life is hard. My rent is crazy. My bills are crazy. My phone bill is $150. Everything is tough. Everything is difficult. I have no streaming services, and it's still hard. This is tough.
Why is tipping the draw line of everything? Because no one on this planet should toss my DoorDash order for not tipping. No one should do that. That's a bit of an overreaction if I've ever seen one. To come up to grab the order, waste your own time, waste money, waste 2 hours of your day, because it took 2 hours to get my Dunkin' Donuts here, and come up to me and say, "You the person I didn't leave a tip?" And I said, "Huh?" And then tosses it and leaves. He was obviously having a bad day.
Yeah.
He was fed up.
Yeah. On that note, how do you feel about where tipping culture has moved to? Do you feel like it's excessive? Do you always tip everywhere you go? Do you at least tip like $1, even if you're picking up your own food or providing your own service? Let me know down in the comments below how you feel about it. Also, please don't forget to like this video if you like content like this. Also, while you're down there, don't forget to subscribe if you have not already. Ring that notification bell. That way you're notified whenever I post my next video. Thank you guys again so much for watching. I will see you in the next one. Bye.